Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Monday, bank holiday Monday, Rush of the West Ham Network. Hope you are safe and well. I'm going to get some graphics put up by that. Got to double down on that shit. Thank you yesterday, the video, lovely comments. Thank you very much. Read them all and didn't have a chance to reply to all of them, so apologies. But there were so many, so lovely. I just want to reiterate that the point of that was to say, you know, I'm a big boy. I'm thick-skinned. But if you're saying those things to me, but you might say them to someone else who might not be that thick-skinned, and the outcome could be very different. So just words are all I have to take your heart away. It's only words, but it's not really nowadays in social media, and things can be misconstrued and stuff like that. But anyway, and I'm going to double down the positivity to piss you all off even more, because that's what I do. Anyway, we've got the Academy show. Obviously, all those trolls and everyone are so into the Academy, they go to every game and know all the players because, it's a major part of the club. Yeah, I've definitely seen all them not there. But we're going to talk about the Academy show. We've got that. We've got Hammer's headlines. We've got players leaving. Not that many players, rumours of them coming in. Sometimes a bit of double-edged sword, because it to me, it means that when things get a bit quiet, it's like the calm before the storm. Something usually happens, and I hope it does happen, because as I said yesterday, we've got a week to save our season. Regardless of what happens up top, in terms of what's on the pitch, we need to be in the Premier League. End of. It'd be if we ever got relegated this season, it'll be awful. This is the worst possible season to go down because of 2026-27. New shirt sponsors, opportunities for a multi-year deal. Big deal could be within the Premier League. I think it's going to be some sort of US company, just because that's what myself and Adam from 𝗬𝗪𝗡 𝗛𝗦 were sort of speculating, particularly with the New Balance and, a desire to try and capitalize on America because of the World Cup next summer as well. So, yeah, anyway, let's talk about Graham Potter. That's a good idea. Let's talk about Graham Potter. Well, according to reports, he's been given 2 games to save his job. And it was across quite a few reports, sort of went through in a bit more detail, Talk Sport and stuff like that. He said they allude to the fact that he's safe for now, obviously after a historic poor start to the season, and it's sources close. According to TalkSport, sources close to David Sullivan say the owner is concerned by Potter's wider record of only 5 wins from 20 games since Julian Lopetegui to be placed in midway through last season. TalkSport understands Potter believes he is being hamstrung by previous poor recruitment. I totally agree. Which means he can only spend what the club bringing in on sales. Yep. Although it does mean we still have, regardless of if we sold Kudus and we bought in Diouf and we bought in Mads, there's still 20 million quid there, isn't there? Without really thinking too hard. No West Ham manager has won fewer than 10 points in their first 10 home games in the competition previously, with both Alan Curbishley and Avram Grant managing to double figures. What is interesting was, and again, TalkSport peeks up on the interview that Karen Brady gave last week, and there was the terminology was, I hope he does a good job, and I hope he comes back, and I know we'll see a reaction, and I know that they would try and turn things round, and he's a good manager, he builds good relationships, modern mindset. I hope he does well. He is a pleasure to. It's not sort of. I think Simon Jordan picked up on it, saying, it's not, I know he'll do well, I really hope he does well. You've almost left the door ajar there. But as TalkSport mentioned, and I think Clarence Hugh and Hammers News, that the belief is that he will be given these next 2 games. He will be in charge of these 2 games. And then comes the international break. And there's been no reassurances that he's going to be in the dugout for the Spurs game. They've said, yeah, carrying as normal, but if we see 2 more defeats, we know there's is it the 5 loss rule or something like that? it does present an opportunity in the international break to do something. However, someone put a really, and I'm gutted because it was a really good thing for a thumbnail. It was like, was it back, not back, sack and crack, but back, sack, or will crack in terms of West Ham. And that's the case, if if it's already being put out that there is well, you should. I mean, to be honest, every manager who isn't performing, their job's at risk, and Potter's not immune to that to anyone. I think I agree what he says. In terms of being hamstrung by previous poor recruitment, I agree with that totally. And it does seem that tomorrow has more significance than I think we think. Not we think it has, but a Carabao Cup away, Wolves, second round. It's not just that; it's what it could bring. A decent performance tomorrow, maybe even a victory. Who knows? Stranger things have happened at sea. With a younger, fresher side, would put the old pros to shame in terms of the last couple of games, and then going into Nottingham Forest game, it gives Potter a nice headache in terms of being able to draw across people from the cup squad and the first team squad. I think it was Terry Connolly or someone said on Twitter, he'd love if he was in charge, he'd put the first 11 out who started against Chelsea and go, you were shit last week, go and prove you're not shit. But it won't happen. We know he'll play a sort of a slightly altered side. We'll do the starting 11 show tomorrow and stuff like that. But it does take on a lot more significance, I think, particularly after Friday's result, because the Friday game, we've got a chance to bounce back on Tuesday. I know it's the cup, but still, it's the easiest way to get into Europe, in my eyes. I know I'm not saying we're going to win the cup, but the Carabao Cup is the easiest way to get into Europe, and you get into Europe in February as well. So for someone like Potter, if he could win the League Cup, I'm speculating massively, but it sort of not necessarily keeps him in a job. But you got to think, in all honesty, I think the European Cup Conference League victory kept Moyes in that job for another year, because I said, and we've put it on a little WhatsApp group, as I said, at that time there was 3 options on the table. He could have backed him and given him a new deal, he could have sacked him, or he could have just let the contract run down, and he went for the wrong option in terms of letting the contract run down. So there was no emphasis, there was no reasoning for Moyes to develop the squad, because he weren't going to be here the following year. They weren't going to offer him a new deal. He pretty much knew that. And so it was almost like sort of an interim manager, really. So anyway, regardless of that, this is what we've been told. He's got 2 games to save his job. Whether he does or he doesn't, we'll find out on, ironically, the 31st of August, which should be we've got a few hours until the transfer window closes. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's okay, because Mr. Sullivan's now getting involved in also the board are getting involved in transfers. But I thought they were already involved in the transfers. I didn't understand that bit. Bit of mixed messaging there from certain news outlets, really, because I thought he was already involved in the transfer side of the business already after Steiden had gone. But we'll see. Anyway, my friends, we're back later on. Let us know what you think. 2 games to save his job. Do you think he'll do it? Do you think it'll be like David Moyes, where David Moyes has always given an ultimatum game and he always won that ultimatum game and it reset the counter? Do you think we're history repeating itself? Let us know in the comments below. And if you don't have nothing, if you've got nothing to say, then just put an emoji. It helps us out tremendously, and not just our channel. And I say it all the time. It's a real labor of love in terms of doing this type of stuff. We don't get paid. We don't get paid particularly well at all in terms of the time put in terms of what YouTube pays. So we do it as for a hobby. It's a hobby for the majority of us, and so a like, comment, a share, a subscribe really does give you a little bit of a boost, particularly in these hard times. So anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm. See you soon. See you later, motherfuckers. Much love. Bye bye.